It is the midday edition of the Workforce on the Rhythm of the City, 94.3 WYBC. I'm Wanda Coppage, and as you know, we here at YBC and Yale University, we've been taking some time to shine the spotlight some of our small Black-owned businesses right here in the great city of New Haven. I've had a chance to talk to some wonderful entrepreneurs, and today is no different. I am going to be speaking with, I have her here with me right now, the owner of Sankofa Counseling. Her name is Erica Reshard, and this is different because most of the interviews that I've done have been for restaurant owners and salon owners, but today we're going to get into the mental counseling of it all. And Erica, I just want to say welcome. Good afternoon to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon to you. Thank you.
So first, let's start with Sankofa Counseling. And by the way, this is located at 1423 Chapel Street, Suite 2R. Tell us about Sankofa Counseling. What is it and everything in the middle?
Well, Sankofa Counseling is a mental health and addiction counseling center. What we do is we work with individuals who are interested in either just improving their lives or having difficulty managing, especially right now with COVID and with the racial climate in the country. So we're open. Issues, other people just have maybe a little depression. We also specialize in trauma, and there's individuals sometimes coming home from incarceration or having problems reacclimating into the community. So we work with a variety of folks around a plethora of issues.
When did you start Sankofa?
I started Sankofa in 2015, and even the name, it's basically anyone that knows about Sankofa, it's like there's a symbol that's a Sankofa bird, and basically Sankofa means it's go back and get it. And so my interest was in helping people to understand that if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you. So Sankofa bird, it's a bird flying forward, but looking back into the past, and there's an egg in the mouth that represents the future. Mm-hmm. So just the whole concept, I feel is really important for American people, not knowing enough of our history, just knowing what we're told is history, and not realizing that a lot of things that we deal with are results of our history.
Right. So tell me a little bit about you. Again, this is Erica Reshard. She is the owner of Sankofa Counseling, Mental Health and Addiction. This is on Chapel Street, 1423 Chapel Street, Suite 2R. So you tell me about how you, or when you started the business. Tell me a little bit about your background, how you got started as a counselor, and some of your educational background.
Okay, so I'm a native of New Haven, born and raised. I grew up in New Haven. I graduated from Hill House. I went to college in Massachusetts, and then wound up leaving, staying in Massachusetts for like 14 years. And I always knew that if I came back home, I wanted to do something to help my community. I came of age like during the crack epidemic. So I'm just watching the devastation that it had on the community of New Haven, because along with the crack epidemic came like gang violence, territorial situations, neighborhoods separating and dividing. And I returned home, finished my degree, my bachelor's degree at Albertus, and then I went to Southern for my master's in social work. Okay. And so I decided that I could open up the practice with beginning with drug and alcohol. I started just with 4 years as a drug and alcohol counselor. So I started with just addictions and then opened up to mental health once I passed my clinical social.
Okay. And what kind of methods? Like walk us through the process. If I have an addiction and I'm battling something and I contact you at Sankofa Counseling, walk us through the process of what that looks like.
Okay, so when you call, right now I have two other women that work with me, two great women, Angela and Cassandra Arizari, and I'm in the process of looking for other clinicians to come on board, but we have a specific mission at Sankofa. What we'd like to do is to take the stigma out of mental health counseling, especially for Black and Brown people. And so we would, find out what your end game is. If your goal is abstinence, we'd work towards abstinence. However, we'd also be open to harm reduction, which sometimes gets people to abstinence, but everyone's not always looking to be abstinent. You have to, create the treatment plan around what your goals are. I think that's why a lot of people fail at other treatment programs, because they're told you can't do drugs or alcohol anymore, which ultimately, if they're having a lot of negative consequences in your life, you may want to consider abstinence, but people sometimes can't get their head around going straight to abstinence, if that makes sense.
No, it does. It
So
does.
we try to
Definitely.
have like client centered. Okay, good. We just try to have centered. So we will definitely work with you toward whatever your goal is. And hopefully, if abstinence is the best for you, as we're in the process, you'll get there and realize, oh, this really isn't for me. I really need to let this go completely. And that's not everyone's story. So it depends. We're open.
Okay. And is it basically just you're just talking them through it. You're getting a chance to get to know that person, finding out
Mhm.
possibly what started the addiction and just hearing their background story and meeting with them and you talk through it.
Absolutely. And really, a therapist's job is basically just to make observations and suggestions. We can't fix anyone. People don't
Right.
realize the answers are already in you. Sometimes you just need the sounding board to get to where you need to be. And having that confidential space where you can come and be yourself and have conversations that need to happen in order to make your way through is all that we do here.
Nice. Okay. And you said you were a graduate of Hill House. You know, I would be remiss if I didn't throw in the fact that so am I. Proud graduate of James Hill
Nice.
House. What area did you grow up
Absolutely.
in here in New Haven? Where'd you grow up?
Well, my mom lived in Ashman Street Projects, so we are from Ashman Street. Then she moved to Westville Manor. But I also
Okay.
spent some time with my aunts who raised me for my first, I'd say my most formative years. So I was in the Norton Street area, and
Okay.
then Ashman Street, Westville Manor, and then I moved to Massachusetts for college.
Okay. This is Erica Reshard. She's the owner of Sankofa Counseling LLC, 1423 Chapel Street, Suite 2R in New Haven. Now, I know you are from New Haven, so I could probably gather what the answer to this question is going to be, but I've been asking everyone this. Why set up shop in New Haven? Why start the practice here in New Haven?
Believe it or not, when I first started, I was in Hamden on Dixwell Avenue. And then I
Okay.
moved to East Haven because I wanted to expand until the space was available, and it was a beautiful space. And I realized, I need to be in New Haven. This is where my heart is. And this is where I feel like I can do the most. So it only made sense to come back to my first love, New
Your
Haven.
home. Home is where the heart is. You got to come home. It always ends up back at home.
That's right.
So when I think
Hmm.
of all of the other options as far as counseling services, places where you can go if you are dealing with mental health issues or if you are battling an addiction, what makes Sankofa stand out? What is it about your operation, your business that's different from all of the others?
Well, what makes us different is my logo is culturally competent care. I believe that you can go a number of places, but they're not culturally competent all the time. I believe you know the city, understand the city, the dynamics, how things work, the neighborhoods, um, what the people may be going through from a different neighborhood, understand what poverty is. I know that New Haven has a lot of other agencies, but they're oftentimes teaching hospitals or teaching programs, so there's no consistency. You
Right.
may have a therapist that you're with for a year, and then they move on. To could be very harmful, in my opinion. Um, if people are constantly restarting and retelling their story because they have a new doctor or a new therapist every year or month, but here we try to bring consistency. We try to be, make sure that we're culturally competent. Everyone that works here is from, if not New Haven, like a Bridgeport or another inner city. And that's our mission, to make inner city residents a place where they can come and get help.
Right. Especially after because I've dealt with having a therapist after I had a loss in my family. And she was one that ended up relocating. So I had to go on a search for a new counselor, a new therapist. But you're right. When you
Mhm.
establish a rapport with one therapist and you're going for just life in general, situation may have brought you to that person, but you're going to end up talking about other things as well. And then you have to meet someone new, it's like you're reliving what you've already worked through all over again. And I don't know if that would be beneficial. So that's a good point that you brought that up.
Yeah, especially with trauma, like grief and loss, like you experience, and also trauma, like you're re-traumatizing the person. And what we also try to do is bring in modalities of therapy that are not necessarily common um, in a lot of the areas that our folks would go for help. So I do like the auricular acupuncture, EMDR. I know EMDR. They had a place in Winchester Avenue, I think, that used to do it years ago, a clinic that now I think is closed down. But these are things that our folks don't necessarily get exposure to.
Now,
And
what is
so we just try to make
EMDR?
sure.
Explain that to us. I'm sorry. What's
It's
EMDR?
okay, it's a trauma therapy, but it's therapy, not a talk therapy. So it's eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. So it's aimed to basically say that they use bilateral stimulation to process through trauma. So if someone experiences a horrible trauma, say they don't want to talk about it, they don't have to relive it. They can basically superimpose like a picture with whatever feeling it brings up for them, like be mindful of where they feel it in their body. And by using bilateral stimulation, the brain is able to process them, because trauma is only your brain not able to make sense of something.
Right.
So whether it be violence or a loss, and that's where the cultural competent piece comes in as well, because urban trauma is real, and
It
there's a lot
is.
of agencies and a lot of other that don't understand that urban trauma is a serious thing. In the city of New Haven, we have a lot of urban trauma, and it's not just people that are actively involved in illegal things or active violence. It could also be neighborhood trauma, because if I live in a certain neighborhood and there's constant war going on, I'm traumatized. I'm afraid to, just sit on my porch at night. So these things are real. So if you're going to an agency or you're seeing a therapist who doesn't understand that, how can they be helpful to you?
Right. And my peers, my friends and I, we speak about growing up in New Haven during our childhood, losing your classmates at such an early age, even if you weren't that close with them. They're in your classroom in the sixth grade one day, and then the next minute you're hearing that they were murdered, they were shot, or something happened to them. That's trauma at an early age. Maybe not directly affect, or
Mhm.
it's not completely directly related to you, but because it's a part of your environment, how do you process that? How do you deal with that when you're like 10 or 11 years old? So yes, there's trauma early.
Absolutely. And I think that it's unfortunate that in our communities, we try supposed to move on. That's unhealthy.
Mhm.
So again, we'd like to bring counseling, process these things. And you can expect a child to understand um, that type of trauma and to just be able to move on from it. And even victims of violence, whether it's a young man that's been shot, all the manly thing to do, move on, man up. No, that's not normal. That's not normal. That's why soldiers come home with so many, because they can't just move on from being in a literal war.
Right.
So we gotta stop having these demands on ourselves as if we don't have emotions and feelings, and as if our minds are different than other people. You know,
And even,
and that's my main mission.
yeah, so I'm here.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
There's a little bit of a lag, because we're actually recording this through video right now, just in case you were wondering. So there's a little bit of a lag
Okay.
delay in between our conversation. But if you're just tuning in, I'm speaking to Erica Reshard. She is the owner of Sankofa Counseling, 1423 Chapel Street in New Haven, Suite 2R. You spoke on something just now that I wanted to touch on. In the African American community specifically, we kind of turn our nose up to counseling. When there's go see someone, go talk to someone, we especially most likely Christians, you go to church, you pray it away, you talk to the Lord. And I'm not
Mhm.
saying don't do that, but talk to us a little bit about that stigma attached to going to a therapist.
Well, unfortunately, the stigma has been in the Black community, because it's always, we're raised to keep your business in the house, don't air your laundry in public and all those kinds of things. So we keep all these family secrets and all these hurts, and it's not healthy. It's not healthy. So when you talk about praying it away, um, I believe that it's twofold. You have to have the Lord, but you also need sometimes some mental health counseling or some
Yeah.
kinds of addictions help. They can coincide. They can both exist in the same space. Unfortunately, it's all or nothing for us in the secret way that we're taught. The is not working for us anymore. So damaged. That's why there's so much depression and so much anxiety. We're living in this, racialized trauma. This environment is not healthy for us either. So we're just holding all these things inside, and then we wonder why, so and so drinks, or this one smokes crack, or this one is verbally abusive, or our relationships aren't working. Why we can't communicate with each other? So it's just unfortunate, and we're trying to change that. Even the environment here, I have it so that it's like, just sitting in a living room, having coffee and relaxing. It's not like medical. It doesn't look medical. It doesn't look like, I'm not on the computer typing while we're having this conversation. No, we're just
Right.
in a nice, comfortable environment having a talk as if we're just hanging out at auntie's house or something.
I like that. Talking to your auntie in the living room. I like it. Erica Reshard, owner of Sankofa Counseling, 1423 Chapel Street in New Haven. Before I let you go, Erica, and this has been such a promising conversation, but I do want to touch on where we are right now with this pandemic. We are in the middle of COVID-19. This does not look like what we're used to. And I spoke to, regularly, I speak to someone from Cornell Scott Hill Health Center. And I got a chance to speak with one of the doctors on anxieties and stress now for adults and for children who are coping with and dealing with everything surrounding this pandemic. Have you found that you are getting more customers or more clients, I should say now, with COVID-19? You're finding that people are just dealing with some issues mentally with all that's been going on? How are they
Absolutely. I
processing?
mean, we're social beings by nature, so oh, sorry, we're social beings by nature. So isolation, even the feet of distance, it's really not normal.
Hmm.
It's not how we're designed. So people are suffering. And even speaking of just starting to get back where the church doors are open. So people that really have that spiritual connection or that church family that they rely on, it's difficult not to be able to get together with folks that we love.
Right.
And we have older family members, maybe you're staying away. And so it's been hard on everyone. I've where I've even had wait lists, and all of my friends who are also in the counseling business have wait lists. The need is dire. Like there's a real need for it. And I'm glad that people are starting to open up to the idea of counseling. Um, so definitely.
Well, that was my next question. How do we get on a wait list for you? How do we contact you to set up an appointment? And are you taking new clients right now?
I taking new clients. As I said, I have two young ladies that work with me. And one is mostly telehealth. Myself and the other young lady, we work in person. We have offices big enough to like socially distance, and we wear masks. So you can either call the main number, which is 203 507 2808, or the other number, which is 203 928 0807.
Okay. And then what about a website? Do you have a website we can go and check out what you do?
I do. The website is Sankofa-counseling, and Sankofa is Sankofa-counseling.com.
I love it. This has been very informative. Thank you so much for all of the information. This is Erica Reshard. We've been speaking to and saluting our small Black owned businesses here in New Haven. And Erica Reshard is one. She's the owner of Sankofa Counseling LLC, 1423 Chapel Street, Suite 2R, right here in New Haven. So, yeah, if you or someone you know or family, you want to reach out to her, definitely make sure you do that. And I like the fact that, like I said, we've been speaking to people who own restaurants and own hair salons and stores. This is about health. So shout out to you for establishing this business here in New Haven. I thank you so much for your time. Anything you wanted to add that you may want to add before we wrap up?
No, thank you for your time and consideration. I just, really want to get the help if you need it. It doesn't have to be at Sankofa, but go somewhere. because we as a people, we have to heal. We have to be better. We have to do better. And I pray that everyone stays safe during this pandemic. And again, reach out if you need the help. Just take care of yourselves.
Take care of yourselves and each other. I love it. Erica Reshard, owner of Sankofa Counseling. Thank you once again. I am Wanda Coppage, host of your midday workforce. We're going to get you back into some music right after I pay these bills. And again, this is going to be posted on my Facebook page and on the website. So if you missed any part, you can always run that back. Keep it locked into the rhythm of the city, 94.3 WYBC.